So, Meta just recently entered the AI chatbot arena with their own chatbot called Meta AI, powered by their LLM Llama 3. And after using it for a while on Instagram, I have a reason to believe it's being biased. Okay, here's what happened. The first question I asked it was pretty straightforward. I said, a summer sunset, and as you can see, it's done a pretty decent job. As a follow up question, I said, animate this, and again, it did quite a good job. But the next thing I asked was a little different. I said, animate my profile picture, to which it said, first ask me to generate an image. And so this is where I figured out that it could not take and reference image, especially my profile picture, because it's a text based model. So I said, generate an image of me. Now, I expected two outcomes here. A, it would generate a picture randomly of a random person, or B, it would just say that it did not have adequate information about me. The result, however, was that it did generate an image, but it was of a random guy. And I just straight up asked it, why would you assume I was a guy? To which it replied with what seemed like an apologetic message saying, I should not have assumed you were a guy. I'm a large language model and I don't have information about you, blah blah blah. And I asked this question nearly 10 times. But in all of the 7 to 8 times, I asked it to generate a picture of me, plus the 3 or 4 times I asked it to generate a picture of a person. It generated images of guys, and only once, when I specifically said I'm a woman, gave me an AI generated picture of a woman. And that is the main point of this video. Even though it is saying that it should be gender neutral in its responses, it clearly is not. Because technically, if it is not being biased and it does not have any information about me, then there's a 50-50 chance that the picture generated should be a woman or a man. Because the math here is pretty simple. If I toss a coin once, there's a 50-50 chance that I get a head or a tail. But if I toss a coin 10 times, the probability that I'll get either all heads or all tails is very, very low. 0.0009 to be precise. But clearly, the default is always a guy. And I have nothing against it for generating images of guys. My point is, it cannot be the default definition for a human. After this, I also decided to ask Bing slash ChatGPT and Gemini for an image of a human. And Gemini just simply did not generate an image, and Bing did. And I would say these results were slightly inclined towards being gender neutral, which is a good thing. And while editing this video, I decided to ask Meta again for a picture of a human and me a few times, and interestingly, it did generate a woman's picture two of those times. I may be wrong here, but my theory is that it took into consideration and context the message where I said I'm a woman, and took some time to process and analyze that and understand that maybe a woman's picture is going to be more relevant to me. So, yeah, the conclusion is like every other idea in the world, AIs have both pros and cons. One of the biggest pros for now being they can save time. Whereas the biggest con is that, as the tech companies themselves mention, the information provided by these AIs are not 100% accurate always, and so they can hallucinate with the answers, along with, as we saw, being biased to an extent. And since ultimately these AI models or chatbots are being trained by data provided by us humans, it is important to mitigate the bias in the data and in the real world. This was it for today's video. If you liked this video and you enjoyed it, please give it a like, and if you're into tech stuff, then do subscribe.